For decades, the adage went, as California goes, so goes the nation. In the past, this was a message of hope. Now, it's a stark warning. Almost every piece of news that comes out of the Golden State is more disturbing than the last. How did the state go from being the epitome and model of the American dream to the precursor of a future dystopian America, and one that will arrive should nothing be done to stop it? California's collective footprint, not only in the US, but around the world, is large. The state, up until the past few decades, was a mecca of the middle class, and in recent years looks to be spiraling into a dysfunctional and increasingly third world-esque state. I was just this week watching a video from San Francisco's Civic Center station of drug addicts shooting up in plain sight, as well as slumped over in pools of various human waste products, and was, unlike the distress feigned by a local news reader, not surprised at all. I do have family in California and have visited the state regularly since childhood. The last time I was in Los Angeles, I will admit I had a hard time recognizing parts of the city as being American. Many Californians, especially those in the political class and other blocks of champagne socialists in Silicon Valley and Hollywood, like to see their state as a shining example of progressive politics in the best traditions of social democracy. However, much as Hollywood would like people to believe that a 95-pound woman is capable of going toe-to-toe with a 250-pound man in a bare-knuckles brawl, California as a land of equality is nothing more than a delusion of smoke and mirrors. If California was an independent nation, it would be the 17th most unequal country in the world, just between Honduras and Guatemala. In comparison to the social democracies California attempts to ape, Canada, for example, is the 111th, and Norway the 153rd most unequal countries, that is, out of the 176 countries surveyed. In terms of income inequality, California is the second highest in the United States, behind only New York. And according to the New York Times, a full 1/4 of all homeless Americans, or those living in abject poverty, untold thousands, reside in California. And when taking into account the cost of living, taxes, housing, and healthcare costs, California's real poverty rate is 20.6%, or 1 in 5, the highest in America. This is nearly twice the national average of 12.7%. California used to have the largest and most affluent middle class in the United States, and it has all but devolved into a playground for the rich and an open holding pen for the poor. There are many reasons for this, as stated cost of living, which is exacerbated via a myriad of red tape, a lavish welfare state, and both the highest personal income tax rate and the highest sales tax in America. And by the way, sales taxes are inherently regressive and make life more difficult for those that can least afford it, the working class. These are, of course, the standard issues when looking at the state, but it must be stressed that despite spending more on welfare per capita than any other state, the welfare system actually helps accentuate and entrench poverty in California. The welfare state presents three main problems. First, it incentivizes poverty by rewarding the poor with government handouts that are at times more lucrative and more valuable than what could be obtained by employment. Second, welfare states are expensive. This means higher taxes and therefore slower economic growth and fewer job opportunities for everyone. Finally, like Sweden, like Germany, like the UK, like the Netherlands, California as a welfare state is a magnet for the poor. Whether through domestic migration or foreign immigration, poor people flock to places with generous welfare benefits. Of course, this makes perfect sense from those that seek welfare handouts. It makes absolutely none from the point of view of a taxpayer. And this is the primary reason why socialism and open borders are fundamentally incompatible. Moreover, poverty is seen as one of the key causes of increased crime in the state. In fact, the FBI preliminary crime report for 2016 indicates that violent crime increased in a full 2/3 of California's largest cities. Since the change in U.S. immigration policies in the 1960s, the population of California has ballooned from 16 to 39 million people, with almost all of that growth due to immigration. Much of it domestic, but the majority coming from abroad. The Public Policy Institute of California estimates that 10 million immigrants currently reside in California, or about 26% of the state's population. If using data from a recent study at Yale University with newer estimates of illegal immigrants living in the U.S., that number rises to almost 1 in 3. While none of this is to disparage any legal immigrants, it would be mindless to believe that an influx on a scale such as this, biblical in fact, would not have any influence on the economy or culture of California. In fact, immigrants vote Democrat by a ratio higher than 2-1, which means that for Republicans to have any chance at winning elections, they must water down their core positions and move to the new political center that has moved left. Or put simply, California became a solid blue state, not because the people of California evolved into socialists, but because millions who do vote socialist arrived and made it so. And all of these factors together is having a profound effect on the state and its future. No other state but California is having a mass exodus of what is left of its middle class. In addition, a recent report suggests that California's costly tax and regulatory policies prompted between 9,000 to 10,000 businesses to leave the state, reduce their operations, or curtail plans to locate there between 2008 and 2015. And this mass exodus of businesses from the state of California to more friendly locations like Texas and Nevada is the result of what many refer to the Golden State's hostile business environment. Los Angeles led the top 15 California counties with the highest number of disinvestment events, with Texas being the top destination for California companies each year during the 7-year study period. In fact, Texas has received many large companies and their subsidiaries, including Amazon, Hulu, Toyota, Samsung, and Siemens. These companies are spread between the metro areas of Austin, Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, and San Antonio. And it does not look like it's stopping or abating. The rush to the door for those with the means to leave, as well as companies and by extension jobs, is going full steam, and California looks set. That is, if it does not radically change course politically, it seems that it is headed toward an uncertain future. Companies, while in California, may like to virtue signal and underline their progressive values, but when it comes down to it, the only line that really matters to large companies like Motorola, Visa, Apple, and eBay currently leaving the state or reducing their footprint is the bottom line. To be fair, California does offer tax incentives for aerospace companies, as well as the California Film Commission and the California Energy Commission. However, these incentives do not look to be enough to stem the tide of the middle-class businesses and jobs leaving the state. And in doing so, California will join other areas of the country and the world, in fact, as it plummets into a poverty-ridden shadow of its former self, and like Detroit before it, will serve as an everlasting testament, memorial, and example of you really get what you vote for. Californians are now living in the carcass of a once great state slayed by the progressive politics that have destroyed many cities around the U.S., and now that carcass is beginning to rot around them. America will be next if this familiar pattern is not recognized and aggressively opposed and arrested once and for all. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of material, please consider subscribing. Also follow Black Pigeon on the usual social media. Till next time.